This is a recipe for an orange souffle. I love souffles, even though you don't really see or hear about them too much nowadays. They used to be really big in the 60s and 70s, but they can be savory or they can be sweet. You can make a cheese souffle or you can make an orange souffle. This one is very simple, very easy to make. It's foolproof, it's tasty, it's delicious. What we're going to do is we have 6 eggs separated, yolks from the whites. Put the whites over here. I'm going to put these over here for now. I have 1/3 cup of sugar, and then I have a separate 2 tablespoons of sugar. I have a 1/4 cup of orange juice with the pulp. We're going to use about maybe the zest of half an orange, and I have some orange liqueur. We're going to use 1 tablespoon of that. First, we have to prepare our dishes. This is a souffle dish, normally with straight sides, not flared out, because you want the souffle to climb up the sides of the dish. This is a 1 1/2 cup quantity. You can get smaller ones, about half this size, but for this recipe, we need one this size. To prepare it, I need to butter the inside, so I have some soft butter. And I'm just going to make sure it's all covered, especially the sides, all the way up to the top of the rim. And now, to give the souffle something to grab onto, we're going to put some sugar in here and just make sure it's covered all over. Okay. As I said, this is a recipe for 4. I've already done the other 3. So I have 4 of them all set and ready to go. Now let's start with the recipe. We'll start with the egg yolks. I'm going to take the egg yolks and we're going to put the sugar in, the zest, and this is really up to you. I mean, the orange zest just has so much flavor in it. A teaspoon or 2, and then you can always eat the orange later. Wow, that's a strong orange smell. Okay, the liqueur. You could probably leave this out if you don't want to have any alcohol in here, but this adds so much more orange flavor. And then the orange juice with the pulp. And we're just going to give that a whisk. I'll mix that up a little bit better. But in the meantime, I'll take my 6 egg whites, put them in my mixer with the whisk attachment on. Now I'm going to make some noise, and we're going to beat these until they're stiff, adding the 2 tablespoons of sugar just before they get stiff. So I'm going to make some noise. Take a test of these. They're ready. I'm going to get rid of this. And now we're going to blend them. I'm going to start by adding just a scoop of this, kind of loosen this up a bit. Meanwhile, while I'm working on this, my oven is heating up to 450 degrees. That's a pretty hot oven. And the reason is that we want that heat to just give those egg whites a punch, and they'll just cause them to pop up. Okay. Now I'm being really hard with these right now, but that's just to get them used to the whites. With the rest of the whites, I want to be nice and gentle. And just fold them. Now this bakes pretty fast. It only takes about 12 minutes exactly. And when they come out of the oven, this is the thing I think why people don't make a lot of soufflés, is because they're very temperamental. When these come out of the oven, you got to serve them and eat them right away. There's no, let's let them sit over there for 5 minutes. Nope. It's got to be right away. And the reason is that as soon as the soufflés start cooling down, the coolness causes them to deflate. And then instead of having a soufflé up here, you'll have something sunken. It's still edible, but it's not as light and fluffy and beautiful as it is when it comes out of the oven. So this is the sort of thing that, unfortunately, if you're making it for guests, you're going to have to be in the kitchen for a few minutes. But it will wow them, and it will really impress them. And you saw, this is not difficult to do. And few ingredients, pretty easy ingredients. You can get really fancy with soufflés and really stick in some really expensive ingredients, but this one's simple. Oh, the smell of the orange is just unbelievable. Now I'm really taking my time because I don't want any large pockets of white from the whites. I want them to be fairly well blended because you want this to rise evenly. And this probably, like the last time I made these, I had a little left over. But I'm just going to make the 4. If I have time, I'll put them in smaller souffle dishes and whatever's left over, and I'll make smaller ones. All right, that's about as good as I'm going to get right now. I'm just going to use a scoop, not that it makes it, not that you have to, it's just for me it's easier, I think, to transfer it over. Again, my oven is on 450. It's a pretty screaming hot oven. You can serve this with some whipped cream, or you can serve it with some berries on the side. We're just going to serve it quite plain with a dusting of powdered sugar. Again, it's 450 and it's going to be 12 minutes exactly. Just a little bit more in that one. Like I said, I have enough in here to make 2 smaller ones. And I'm just going to flatten out the tops a bit. Make sure it's spread to the edges. And now off to the oven I go. And when you come back, I'll show you a beautiful presentation. There are our orange soufflés right out of the oven. I actually could have filled them up a little bit more and they would have been higher, but these look pretty good as it is. I'm going to take this one so it looks the nicest. Put it on the plate. Add a little confectioner's sugar. Maybe a couple of orange slices just to let your guests know what it is. a spoon, and you are ready to go. Enjoy your orange souffle. So this time I'm going to make a chocolate chip souffle. We're going to use the exact same kind of ramekins that we used the last time, the 1 1/2 cup. And what I've done again is I have buttered the inside all the way up to the top and then sugared the inside and tapped out the excess sugar. We're going to put those aside while we make the batter. I'll give you all the ingredients first. In this pot I have 2 cups of milk, which I brought to a simmer, not a boil, but just a simmer. In here I have 3 ounces of semi-sweet chocolate, which I have melted, and I will just keep over warm water so it stays liquidy. Now the milk I'm going to remove and pour into this pitcher because it's going to be easier for me to work with it later. Get rid of that. Okay. Now the rest of the ingredients are 6 eggs that have been separated. I have the yolks here, the whites here, 1/2 cup of regular white sugar, which has been separated, quarter cup, my oven's on, and I have a 1/4 cup of cornstarch and 1/2 cup of mini chocolate chips. So into the egg yolks, I'm going to put the 1/4 cup of sugar and the 1/4 cup of cornstarch. And I'm going to mix that up as best I can, trying to get it all incorporated. This is almost like a pastry cream that we're making. Okay. Now I'm going to gradually add a little bit of the milk, because you don't want to make scrambled eggs because this milk is warm. So it's tempering the eggs. I'm going to get these things out of the way so you can see better. A little bit more. At this point, the eggs are warmed up, so I can basically add all of the milk. Okay, I'm going to get another pot because I'm going to have to cook this. I'm going to put it back on the stovetop, just cooking it until it becomes sort of the consistency of a pudding. So turn that up and just stir constantly, and this is going to take a few minutes. It's beginning to thicken up quite a bit. The last thing you want to do now is boil this. So you really just keep it moving. Good whisk up. Now, I'm going to put it into a big bowl. Okay. Shut that off. Now, we're going to add in the chocolate. I want to get all that off. It's so delicious. Now, give it a good whisk. Get it really combined. What you have here is some very delicious chocolate pudding. But we're not done yet. We still have those 6 egg whites and those, with the rest of that sugar and those chocolate bits, which are going to go in here. So give me a minute to put everything away and get my mixer out so that we can beat up those egg whites. So let's start on our egg whites. Here's the 6 egg whites going into my mixer. Let's start them up, and when they get to be soft peaks, I will add the rest of the sugar until they become stiff peaks. Imagine doing that by hand. Okay, so we have our, well, maybe we should do it just a little, no, that's pretty good. No, I'm going to leave it like that. I don't want to dry them out too much. Okay, so now, just like we did last time, we're going to take in a plop and loosen up this. So we're going to be mixing okay, and now the rest of it, and this time we'll do it more carefully and fold it in. My oven this time is on at 400, not 450. And these are going to bake a little bit longer, probably about 15 to 20 minutes. Okay. And then we'll add in our chocolate bits at this time. Oh my, chocolate. My favorite thing on this planet. And this sure smells wonderful. Get all the way down the bottom. Make sure you get everything up from the bottom. Okay, let's now get them in the cups. Now give it a little evening off. Years ago, I saw Julia Child making chocolate soufflés, and one of the things she said to do afterwards was to go with your thumb around the edge and make like a slight channel. It just, I don't know why, it brings the soufflé away from the edge. So we'll do that. And again, 400 degrees, and I'm going to leave them in for about 15, 16 minutes, and then we'll eat some chocolate soufflé. Here come the chocolate chip soufflés, and as the saying goes, a soufflé waits for no one. They are to be eaten right away. Come on. If you want, you can adorn this with some shaved chocolate or some berries or whatever your heart desires. But why? You don't really need it. Just a little dusting. It's looking pretty, and I can't wait.